This is Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor live on I keep saying Memorial Day. I want it to be Memorial Day, Labor Day. So happy Labor Day to those of you who are members of labor unions, which is down to 6% private labor unions. The labor unions that exist are the ones that are public employee labor unions, which no one really thinks should exist. Even Franklin Roosevelt didn't think public employees should have labor unions with civil service protection. But as long as you don't go on strike, Ronald Reagan took care of that, right? So let's start with the fact that people were all upset about me and the president and others talking about the cheating that went on in the 2020 election. Well, they're cheating already in the 2024 election. The Democrats are cheating big time in the 2024 election. I'm not sure that we know all of the ways in which they're cheating. I don't know. I don't know if we know all of the ways in which they're cheating, but the reality is that they are trying to keep people off the ballot. And Michigan is the best example of it with Jocelyn Benson, who already has a record as a election a fraudster back in 2020. And then, of course, she's the one who unilaterally just took Trump's name off the ballot, reversed by her court and by the Supreme Court. Now, that isn't fraud. For no reason, no earthly reason, no statute that permits it. Every bit of logic's arguing against it. The Republicans want Trump on the ballot and you take him off? You did that. The one in Maine did it. They tried to do it in Crooked, Arizona. That's fraud in the 2024 election. Just so when you say there was no fraud in the 2024 election, you started it already. Now what you're doing is you're trying to get off the candidates like Cornel West, right? And Jill Stein, who might hurt Biden. And you're trying to keep Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the ticket in the same state, like Michigan. Let me see a few others here. I mean, there's a group of states, Wisconsin, Venezuela. Oh, no, not Venezuela. They're not voting this time around. So that isn't trying to fix the election. Why don't you have a consistent position? They're either on or they're off. And one of the people in Wisconsin who's trying to get Trump off, Mark Thompson, says, "We know Trump and Kennedy are playing games." Well, you're not playing games by trying to keep West and Stein off the ballot. You weren't playing games when you just pulled Trump's name off the ballot. So before you get all crazy when Trump says that they're cheating, they already have, and they intend to do it right straight through because they can't win. She has not gotten the bounce that she thought that she would get. The polls, when you take them down to individual states, as we did on Friday and we will do later this week, he's got about 4 different ways to win. She has just one, and she is an awful candidate. Awful. She doesn't seem to be able to articulate a meaningful position. Doesn't seem to be able to articulate anything that makes any sense. I mean, where is she on fracking? She's against it, except she said that she came out in 2020 against it during the debate. You look at the debate. You're lying again, Kamala. You're lying again. When did you come out against fracking? The most you said in 2020 was that it was Biden's policy, and Dana Trump-Ash did not correct you that in 2020 you did not in any way say that you were against fracking. And it's pretty important in Pennsylvania. People of Pennsylvania want to know. Not, I'm for fracking, I'm against fracking, I'm for my values. You figure out what they are. That's pretty much that her absurd, dishonest political position. Do you want to play her?
Fracking. You know, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. I think about this issue through the lens of my baby nieces, who are 1.5 and 3 years old. And when I look at those babies and I think about what the world will be like in 20 years if we don't act, I'm really afraid. And as it relates to those Republicans in Congress, where I've now been for 2.5 years, every one of those members need to look at the babies, the grandbabies in their life, and then look in the mirror and ask themselves, why have they failed to act?
And in 2019, you said, quote, there is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
Liar, liar. And since she wears pants on fire. She did not make it clear in 2020 that she was against fracking. Biden banned fracking the second day he was in office, and she didn't object. And I don't know when she decided she was going to ban fracking, except when she looked at the polls in New Hampshire and saw that Trump was going to beat the hell out of her. Yeah, you know what would be easier? If we find places where she told the truth. At least 17 National Guard members have died securing the U.S. southern border since March of 2021. And they have to do it because Biden, when he came into office, passed 50 executive orders, basically just opening the borders wide and changing the role of the Border Patrol and the customs officials and the border officials into greeters, official greeters. The entry was directed by the Mexican cartels. They decided who came in and where. And when they came in, we just accommodated very, very short vetting and then on a bus to wherever you wanted to go. That's about 10 million people that way. When she says she wants more Border Patrol, she's going to hire them from Radio City Music Hall because their basic expertise has to be how to escort people to seats, not to stop them from coming in. The poor Border Patrol people that were trying to stop them with the horses were accused of whipping the migrants. It turned out that was completely false, and our evil president and his pathological lying secretary Mayorkas never, ever apologized for that big, long investigation that turned out to be as unfounded, as much of a frame as the 4 or 5 that he's used against Trump, stashed them in 2024, hoping that will stop Trump from being president. The alien situation is a disaster. Last week, we told you about how they've taken over a city in Aurora, Colorado, and the governor disputes it. I don't know what he disputes it on. There are pictures of these people taking over apartment buildings. The mayor disputed the governor. Then the mayor must have gotten a little kick in the backside and went, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank God I wasn't a mayor like that. The original headline was Governor Jared Polis dismisses migrant gang of takeover of apartments despite video and mayor confirming. But when the mayor got pressed, the mayor said, oh, it wasn't so bad. Now, you know who this Jared Polis is. This guy must be a second cousin of Walz. We got a picture. We still have our picture of him to show you what a complete nut job he is.
Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz.
You want him protecting your children? No wonder Colorado is a mess. No wonder people are getting brain damage from marijuana just smelling, just walking around the streets smelling. The weird thing with marijuana is all the left wingers like that silly jackass work really hard to make marijuana legal. And now all the studies are coming out as the tremendous amount of brain damage it does, particularly to young people. I mean, here we are telling people not to smoke. This doesn't do as much damage, if not more. Studies are pretty definitive. It does more damage than drinking. I think the pictures did they see those pictures of the people? That's the city in which everything is Feliz Navidad. He's going to go there and sing and see if he can get the migrants to, actually, if he goes there and sings, maybe the migrants will leave if they have to listen to him sing every night. Now, these migrants, by the way, are not just migrants. They come here from Venezuela. Venezuela is the place where Maduro is letting his prisoners and everybody out of prison and letting his street criminals go, and crime is down 70%. Biden has absorbed it for him. So that's one of the consequences of the Biden of the Biden-Harris open border policy. Right here in New York, we have tremendous examples of it. The Trans-Daragua gang, which controls there all the way across the country in Aurora, Colorado, controls neighborhoods in New York where they steal cell phones. That's one of their big things. But they also will do violent crimes. They'll beat you over the head. They'll knock you around. They'll rape you. They'll beat up cops, and they'll kill people. It's a full-service, vicious, organized crime group that is here only because of the open border policies of Biden and Harris. They were not here before. In Brooklyn, there's a block that is completely controlled by the illegal migrants. There's one house in which 10 junkies and an unknown number of migrants frequent the 2-story, 3-bedroom complex. And as the neighbors say, the migrants are all new to the scene, which means they're Biden invitees, ever since the ridiculous decision was made to put them at Floyd Bennett Field, which completely ruins that neighborhood. And they keep saying, oh, stop being mean to the migrants. They're not criminals. This is a different group of migrants than we've had in the past. This is a group of migrants that is 10 to 20 times the numbers we've had in the past. These are people like from China that asked only 4 questions. There's no vetting that goes on. In that community, robbery is up 12%. Other crimes are up by ridiculous numbers. And crack is back in the neighborhood. So that's what you get when you have these people taking over these neighborhoods. I don't want to mention George Clooney or Taylor Swift. Only thing I'm going to say about George Clooney, who had a press conference this weekend with that foreign policy expert Brad Pitt, and he explained how much he loves Biden, and he had his wife with him. I'm glad he doesn't like me. Pitt, if you looked at him, looked like a complete nincompoop sitting there making funny faces. But I was wondering where Clooney's wife was, the one who wants to put Netanyahu in jail for war crimes. Doesn't seem like she wants to put Hamas in jail for coming in and slaughtering hostages. Does she know that the same book of war crimes makes the execution of hostages a war crime? I don't think she's an American, but that's one of the reasons he got really upset with Biden, because of Biden didn't support her in the UN all supported her in prosecuting Biden for war crimes. I mean, Bibi for war crimes. Biden didn't, support her, didn't condemn her. And he got all upset that his foreign wife, I don't know what she is. She speaks with an accent. I don't know what it is that she is, but she is definitely pro-terrorist. That's for sure. And no reaction to just killing in cold blood prisoners, hostages.
Didn't George Clooney call on Biden to drop out of the race? What do you mean he's over there praising him and giving him love?
Oh yeah, he asked him to drop out of the race.
Would you publicly shame them and call for them to exit the race?
I really don't like to pay attention to them or the Taylor Swift people who are torturing the Taylor Swift fans who are wearing Trump things, and they do all kinds of harassment. I mean, this is ridiculous. Who gives a damn who Taylor Swift is going to vote for? I mean, you like her singing, I don't. But I don't care if you like her singing. I just don't play it when I'm around.
I will say the mayor is very particular with his music.
Yeah, she has an average to less than average voice.
You don't listen to much modern music, I will say. Usually when I have it on, you ask me to turn it on.
I like opera, and when you tell me people make millions on these voices that are not.
George Clooney's wife is.
I mean, she just walk around with her legs out.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
Does she? I've never heard her sing. Does she sing or just walk around on stage with her legs out?
She does.
They didn't put her legs.
Well, maybe she wants to play football.
Hey, she's been training with Mr. Kelsey.
George Clooney's wife, by the way, the Lebanese British citizen who speaks English, French, and Arabic.
So she's prosecuting Bibi, but Hamas just wiping out 6 innocent hostages. No problem there. I mean, she's probably on Hamas's side. I'd like to know where she was on the whole Hamas thing in Lebanon, if she's Lebanese and all that. She seems very, very pro or anti-Israel. I wonder if she's in favor of wiping the Jews to the sea. Probably doesn't even. He's just a goofball. Don't you think he's a goofball? You think he's a smart guy?
Who?
Clooney.
Oh, he's an actor.
That's right. You can act like you're smart. I forgot.
He's good at it.
If you're an actor, you can act like you're smart. So I think that the White House got themselves into a real jam this weekend, because they just assume that everybody is as narcissistic, cruel, uncaring, and will do anything to get votes, even if it really destroys and hurts people, just like them. So when Trump showed up at the ceremony for the 13 people that Biden was responsible for the death of in Afghanistan, they just assumed when pictures were taken that he was making something of it. Now, the real question is not what he was doing, but what the hell was Biden doing on vacation and Kamala Harris, you know, practicing, I guess, for her pre-recorded interview, where 40 minutes of it was going to be left on the cutting room floor, and she was only 10 minutes away, 12 miles away at the time when the ceremony was going on. She could have actually seen it on television and still made it on time if she had any respect for these people. So that's one thing. We know when they came back from Afghanistan. Well, first of all, we know, and we're not going to go into the details right now. I'll be happy to do it if you want me to, but Biden got them killed. An intelligent president, maybe even an honest president, this wouldn't have happened. And they even were given the order to stand down. I mean, it's a pathetic situation. When they come back, and there's an honors for them at the at Andrews, he comes there with his wife, and he spends most of his time looking at his watch, as if Mickey Mouse was giving him signals or something. Maybe that was the way in which they would give him signals in those days. It's like, I really have no desire to be here. He then analogized the death of their children with the death of his child, Bo, in action, because Bo didn't die in action. Kind of like, I mean, they love to put themselves in action, right? Like Walz, big fat liar, right? So the families were really, really upset, really, really upset. And a few of them spoke out. I don't know if the White House paid attention to it, but they spoke out and said, it's one thing to have gotten our kids killed. It's another thing to disrespect us this way. Meanwhile, cackling Kamala, for fear that she's going to laugh on the phone, doesn't call and offer them any I imagine she can't really offer condolences because she laughs at the most inappropriate. She might walk in and try to console you on the death of your son and start laughing. One never knows. But she's never called them either. So they decided that they're going to do a hit job on Trump. And they got some of their political operatives in the army to say that the Trump people took shots even though they weren't supposed to. Or they were even pushed. Well, the woman who was pushed is not giving up her identity. And she refuses to come forward. And she's a member of our military. She's afraid to come forward. Why don't we throw her out of the military? I don't know. I would say if you're afraid to come forward, when I'm in the forward position and you're in the back position, they're shooting at me, you might be afraid to come forward then too. I mean, either you got courage or you don't have courage. I don't want you in the military if you don't have courage because you could get me killed. She's afraid to come forward. My backside, she's afraid to come forward. She's a political operative. I am told by people who have been in that area many, many times. I've only been there 2 or 3 times. Photos are taken all the time. And finally, the photographs were requested by the families, and he was invited there by the families. This wasn't a political opportunity that he created. It's a political opportunity that was made into one because the White House thinks that all the evil things they do, other people do. That's what happens when you're a bad person. Can we play for our audience?
Going to it. 20 seconds.
I mean, it's really ironic. And not only that, they had Kristen Welker and all the Trump bashers and paid for press, all doing the hit on him. Welker made the mistake of saying that Harris was there without checking because she was so anxious to make it look like she did the right thing.
So yes, Mayor, a number of Gold Star families, almost all that were in attendance, came out in support of President Trump after Kamala Harris took these cheap shots, and we have video. We're just uploading it. It's just going to take us a second. Maybe we'll take a quick break.
All right, we'll take a short break. I just want you to realize that this was not an event that he created. This is an event that they created. By the way, I don't know if we have exactly all of them, but one of the family members said that they asked him to take the photos so they would have a memory of this. I mean, like, here's what they're not real human beings, Ted. They're make-believe plastic individuals. And they don't realize that many of us actually are real. We love, we have feelings, we're honest, we have a conscience, we believe in God, we love our children. I mean, he doesn't love his children. You never would have used that degenerate drug addict of yours as a bag man if you loved your children. You'd have spared them from a life like that, you bum. Or you'd go visit your granddaughter. But your political career is too important, and the first stepmother helps you with that, right? And she won't visit the granddaughter either. What a stepmother. Oh, out of the books. We'll take a short break. To live his honest promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And welcome back.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Ted is going to play these clips. I'm not sure which one. Pretty much half of the families have at one time or another said that Biden killed their kids, which is beyond question that he killed their kids. It's also killed all the people in Ukraine. I mean, there's a lot of bodies on your conscience. So let's go with this one, because I think it's poetic justice that they got slapped in the face for trying to do this.
So this is Darren Hoover, father of Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover.
My name is Darren Hoover, and I'm the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Kamala, I want you to understand, and I know it will be difficult for you because you lack empathy and basic understanding. The events that happened on August 26, 2024, with President Trump at Arlington National Cemetery were solemn and in keeping with the reverence and respect that is given to all members of our military that are buried there. We invited President Trump. We are the ones that asked for the video and the pictures to be taken at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This was a very solemn wreath laying in our son's name, along with the Sergeant Nicole G family, as well as 2 of our catastrophically injured military members that were there on that horrific day in the honor of our Abbey Gate 13.
I don't know if you can be clearer than that. They all are. But why do you want to torture these families? Look, just to be president, you're gonna Kamala. If some horrible thing happens and you become president, I didn't realize what a terrible. Is there any self-awareness of what a terrible president you would be? Did you ever think if I couldn't pass the bar exam, I shouldn't be president? What did you get through the second time? Did you cheat? Like, I want to take notes in the debate. Did you ever think if you have to take notes into the debate, you shouldn't be president? If you really are that insecure, now we haven't. Many Americans probably don't know this, but we haven't had presidential debates forever. The Lincoln Douglas debates were not presidential debates; they were senatorial debates. They were in 1858. They traveled the state of Illinois together. They were both candidates, Republican and Democrat. Lincoln was the candidate of the new anti-slavery Republican Party, and Douglas was the candidate of the pernicious, evil party of slavery called Democrat. And you want to keep that name, huh? Amazing. And I don't remember how many debates they had. I'm going to say 4 or 5, but these debates were like 2.5, 3 hours. I seriously doubt they needed notes. One doesn't realize about Abraham Lincoln because they think, oh, he's just a guy, from the woods and he made it. And Abraham Lincoln might have been one of the smartest men we had in the White House. He taught himself the law, and he was an enormously successful trial lawyer in Illinois. And you know who he represented? The railroads against the poor people who wanted to recover. Life is complicated. That's an honorable thing to do. The railroads had to be defended, and they couldn't give away all their money. You know what happens when these things happen, and you can sue the railroad and you get money. Well, the honest person does, and then all of a sudden, money. And they all come in, and it's like all these settlements, a lot of legit people and a lot of crooks. So Lincoln had a great reputation. He was the lawyer of choice for about 10 years. So when he got up to debate Douglas, who was also a very bright man, and he probably, this was the thing that really made him president because he got the better of the debates. Now, Douglas was not Biden by any means. He was a functional human being, and he wasn't a dodo bird like cackling Kamala. But he got pretty much whipped. First debates were Kennedy and Nixon. I don't think either one of them would have thought of even asked to have debates, to have notes. They both were very smart men, very well versed on foreign policy, had in fact gone around the country debating with each other on, I think it was the Taft-Hartley law. So neither one of them was insecure about debating. And we go on and on and on and on and on. I did 11 debates, primary debates. All of them were without notes. Some of them, not all, allowed you to take notes while you were up there. In fact, they put a pad and pencil in front of you, and you could take notes while you were up there. But you could not take notes. It almost seemed to me that was like cheating. It was like taking notes to an exam. You're taking your exam and you go like this, you get thrown out of West Point, right? Well, like Biden did. Biden cheated like hell in law school. You failed the bar exam and he cheated. What a combination, the two of you. Unbelievable. So why the heck are you? It's ridiculous for me to ask you why you're running, but you don't deserve to run for president. You haven't done anything. You don't even stand for anything. You stand for your values. I have the same values. Against fracking. For fracking. Maybe for fracking. all in the space of about 4 years, right? Defund the police. I didn't say that. Ban gas vehicles. I'm against that. Oh, we got one you're stuck with? Oh, kill babies. That's your big one. We should vote for you because you're the kill baby candidate. Like 8 months, 9 months, 6 months, 7 months. Just suck the baby out in little parts, huh, Kamala? Perfectly okay with that as long as you can be president. You guys during your convention had a truck going around collecting people who wanted abortions for an organization known as Planned Parenthood. I wouldn't expect, Kamala, you would know, because I don't think you read all that much, and probably your comprehension isn't all that great. One of the reasons people fail bar exams is they're pretty bad on basic reading comprehension. But Planned Parenthood began, and one of the main goals of its founder was to eliminate Black people. And I don't know. I think she'd be pretty happy on some of the stats. Like in Harlem, more Black children are aborted than are born. I think maybe we should go easy on this abortion thing. I mean, whether you're in favor of a ban or not a ban or how many months or whatever, isn't the real frightening position here that we're killing 7, 8, and 9-month-old living human beings and sucking out their body parts and throwing them in the garbage? How do you think God looks on that? Why do you think God? Yeah, Rob. How do you think God looks? I know a lot of you don't believe in God anymore, but whether you believe in God or not, He's watching you. Doesn't do any good not to believe in God. Doesn't get you anywhere. Doesn't get you anywhere not believing in God, because He's going to judge you no matter what.
So let's hear from another Gold
Yes.
Star family member.
About how incompetent, how terrible, and how awful this administration is. And the minute voting opens, you should run to the polls and vote against them.
So this is Mark Schmitz, father of Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz.
God bless him.
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Here we are on a beautiful holiday weekend day. I got to stop what I'm doing, spending time with what's left of my family, to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader. That explains why you and Joe didn't get a call.
You're going to vote for them. What, are you going to kill me? In my country? That's just a legitimate, honest man whose son is dead because, as a result of our last fraudulent election, we elected who knows what, a crook, a traitor, an extraordinarily stupid man surrounded by communists who made decisions in Afghanistan that are not explainable. They're not explainable. Some I can explain. Bagram I can explain by bribery. But taking the civilians, the soldiers out for the civilians, I don't know who the hell paid him for that. But that's how he got all these people killed. And the other thing about Kamala's statement that she was the last one in the room, which I didn't know for the longest time. From the moment he made that decision, I went batty. You're going to take out the soldiers before the civilians. I said, what kind of idiot would do that? I mean, just watch movies and you wouldn't do it. So she wasn't even intelligent enough to advise him, Mr. President, except when we have an effing fool like you in the White House, we take the civilians out first. The soldiers remain behind to protect them, particularly in a country that is bloodthirsty, surrounded by Taliban and ISIS, and they want to kill our people, and they want to kill the Afghans who helped us, who we've promised to protect, and you're getting them killed. Now, let me try it one more time, Dopey. The soldiers stay, civilians go, and it's a pretty good chance they won't do a damn thing with the soldiers there. Because while the soldiers were there for the last year and a half, they haven't killed anybody. Now, it could be they were afraid of Trump because he was a man and not afraid of you. But I think the soldiers being there might have had something to do with it, too. Now, she was too stupid to make that explanation. And even in retrospect, she says it was a great success. And then even when questioned about Bagram giving up an airbase 400 miles from China, 500 miles from Russia, and 400 miles from Iran, if you were president of the United States, would you give that up? If your family got $31 million from Wed China, would you give it up? Those are all questions that have to be asked. The other question that has to be asked, are we walking into the same situation with Tim Walz? We got quite a shot this weekend from Jeff Walz, his brother, who says under no circumstances should he be in the White House. He can't protect his country. Now, he doesn't go into great detail about it, just a couple of general ideas that he's completely unqualified. On his record, you can see why all the people that got hurt and injured and the buildings destroyed and even dead in Minneapolis, where he sat back and not only did he not send the National Guard, he denied the request of the baby mayor who called him in a state of panic. The one who, for the first time in the history of this country, gave up a police station. And he refused him. He refused to send out the National Guard. When he finally did, after the city was destroyed to such an extent that it hasn't been rebuilt in large part yet, people died, people were arrested, they were all let out based on Kamala. You guys were working together there too. She's working to get the criminals out. Oh, by the way, with that big fund she started, she got a couple of murderers out, one I think, and she got a whole group of rapists out. That must have been very, very comforting for the women in that area. And she gets the women's vote, they say. If I were a woman, I wouldn't go near voting for her. She also wants to have men box with me. Now, the brother says he shouldn't be anywhere near the White House. So what do we know about him? We don't know very much about him. He hasn't done a Feliz Navidad like Jared Polis, but he looks like the kind of guy that could do one of those. I'd like to see them do I'd like to see them do a duet. Have we shown our people Feliz Navidad with the governor of Colorado, who is Walz Redux? Because now he's getting a tremendous objections from Aurora, Colorado, that they're overwhelmed by migrants that he allowed in under sanctuary state, sanctuary city. The mayor, like the baby mayor of Minneapolis, also says they are being taken over. But then when somebody strong-armed him, the mayor changed his mind. In one night, it went from they took over the city to no, but a gay urban police. Oh, I'm just the mayor. I'm just I'm just the mayor, and you're the tough Feliz Navidad governor. Ted, we have any more of the family?
Yeah, more coming up.
Okay. Well, we got to watch. We got to watch. Have we played Feliz Navidad on this thing?
Sure.
Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
It's the governor who does not believe that Aurora, Colorado apartment buildings have been taken over by illegal immigrants. Because if he believes it, it blows up the whole rationale for him, his party, and all the ridiculous communists that he surrounds himself with. I could see Walz doing that. Yeah. I don't know if he'd be as good, but Walz has a record that you got to look at. I mean, so I'm going to tell you that there is a suspicion that he is a Chinese operative. And then I'm going to give you the following facts. And I want you to tell me I'm crazy. Number one, when he was in college, he went to China to study. It was paid for by Harvard. It was at a time in which Harvard was, knowingly or unknowingly, was participating in a program with China to teach teachers to teach Marxism. Or how about better than that? To spread, you know what, propaganda, right? Brainwashing. Now, that program took place in China. He loved the program. I want to point out something to you. There's no program in China of any kind that isn't approved by the Red Chinese government, by the Communist Party of China. They don't have people come over, go get taught. And it's just like, oh, China has a lot of problems in China. They run everything in China, including the program Walz was part of. So no matter what you think, what you say, they were running it. He comes back. I don't know the details. That program was so persuasive and China was so wonderful that he goes there many times, announcing it's the best vacation of his life. Now, it could be that he takes shitty vacations. But if you think China's the best vacation of your life, you're either very deprived or you're a communist. Second, he got married on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square so that he and his wife could remember their anniversary date. Strange that anybody would remember Tiananmen Square's date rather than their anniversary date. You remember Tiananmen Square? You might not remember your wedding date. I hope you do, but you have a better chance to remember that in Tiananmen Square, unless you're a communist. Then he went on his honeymoon there. Goes on their honeymoon to China. Communist. And then he went there 30 times, bringing students being taught things in China. You think they were taught critical thinking in China? You think China lets you bring over students to learn the balanced fact about the country that's killed more of its own people than any in modern history? You think they have you learn about how they're trying to eliminate the Uyghur people, Christians? Doing a pretty good job with Muslims too. Do you think they tell you about the half of the population that's starving to death on third world conditions, possibly fourth world conditions? Tell you about all the people they have in prison for political offenses? Or do they think, or tell you about their little history they do about when they were killing girl babies? They tell you that one. Or did they tell you that the estimate by even the most left wing of groups is that the communist regime is now responsible for somewhere around 80 million deaths of Chinese? Or that if you do meet Xi Jinping, you will now meet the man who's killed more of his own people than any human being on earth, who was honored by the Democrats in a great parade in San Francisco, home of cackling Kamala and Pretty Boy Newsom and what's her name? The one with the face that doesn't move. Oh, Pelosi. They gave him a hero's welcome. This would be like giving Hitler a hero's welcome or Stalin. I don't know that he's killed more people than them yet. But if you list him with his predecessors, he makes them look like they didn't kill as many.
All right, Mayor, we now have Gold Star family member Jim McCollum. He's the father of Lance Corporal Riley McCollum. Here's Jim.
Harris. My name is Jim McCollum. I am the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, killed in Afghanistan, August 26, 2021. Your recent remarks related to Trump's visit to Arlington are filled with nothing but lies and deceit. How do you sleep at night knowing it was you, this administration, you and Biden, you being the last one in the room, are responsible for the death of our 13 kids? You have failed for 3 years and 8 months to acknowledge our kids, to acknowledge me. You don't know me. You've never spoken to me. You've never reached out to me. You have failed in your duties as vice president. You have been nothing but disrespectful to me and the families of the 13. Yet you're claiming that you will always be respectful and show respect for our fallen. You've been absent for 3 years and 8 months. You've proven that you're not capable to do the job that you have, let alone the job that you seek. You know nothing about honor, courage, commitment, respect, but President Trump does. President Trump has been there for us. He's been a rock for us. He showed compassion for us, and he showed he truly cares for the families that truly do know what the ultimate sacrifice really is. You have the day you deserve.
Don't you, Ted, Rob? Wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody like Elon Musk put up money to a PAC and they played that so every American could hear it 2-3 times before they go vote?
Yeah. It's
aren't these families and aren't these young men and women who died, who'll never see children, never see grandchildren, never see the things I'm 80 in life. They'll never even be persecuted by the Biden people. They'll have the pleasure of that. By the way, which makes me feel very, very patriotic that I can withstand what they're doing to me. They'll never see any of that. It was wiped out because of, the best you can say, an incredibly stupid decision. I mean, dumb, and one in which they've done nothing to make it worse.
Eyes of the brainwashed once and for all. Maybe this is what it'll take. People, real people like this.
Yeah, look at all the people in Ukraine that are dead. If Trump had been reelected, as he would have if we had an honest election, those people would be alive. Putin would have invaded. Putin invaded 3 times in 4 presidencies. He skipped Trump. We know why. What else we got, Ted?
We got more coming, but it's taking some time, so we're kind of putting them in.
It's nice having Rob back.
We got Rob back. No mic though. Rob keeps talking, but he's not talking into the mic, so no one's hearing you, Rob.
Well,
You got to speak into the mic.
it's his fault. He's trying. He doesn't want. Anybody else to have a mic time but him.
No, that's
Look
not
at
it.
this
That's
guy.
not it.
He didn't. He could have moved a mic over there for you.
I come, but we have only so much time. We got a million moving parts here.
Why don't you stand in back of him for the last 10 minutes? Or so?
You can talk.
Even pull up a chair.
You get a mic. Sorry, we're uploading our clips here.
Well, he's got to plug one in.
Rob's got a lot of nice things to say, but for everyone to hear it, you got to be speaking into a mic.
I don't want to be a monk hog either, but like,
We should have put in 3 mics. And of course, we never, ever, no matter how, we never, ever. Look at this little thing.
We honestly, we run out of. We can't do everything.
You know what I'm going to do?
Minutes.
You know, I'm gonna,
Tonight we had 30 seconds between shows.
I'm going to get one of these and I'm going to use it myself from here.
You do that sometimes. You have yours that you put up there.
I may use my, I may use my Pocket 3.
You have that. You have some of.
Or should I use the 360? I can really get you guys with the 360.
Okay, so back on a serious note, we now have Gold Star family member Steve Nakui, father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui.
My name is Steve Nakui. I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui. And your administration killed my son. Deliberately in exchange for political theatrics so you could have a final day of the evacuation coincide with September 11th. Ignoring the advice of your generals, the Doha Agreement, and countless other veterans and members of Congress. Denying the safety of the Afghans and the servicemen and women. Your choice to play politics in 2021 killed 170 Afghans, 13 U.S. service members, and wounded 45 of our service members, as well as countless Afghans. You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. At no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service. Not once have you honored him by saying his name, so I said it for you. You have disparaged all 13 who have lost their lives as well as their families, exhibiting your lack of gratitude by your silence. I agree with you on one thing, that a person like you should never and will never stand behind the seal of presidency. You are a DEI vice president, and contrary to our kids, the worst that America has to offer. I will pray for you, that God has mercy on your soul.
He's speaking for all of us, isn't he? He sacrificed more than we have, and the others have. But we've all sacrificed. Those who are spending 30% more on groceries, those who are spending more on cars, those who can't afford a house, those who have lost their jobs, and then those of us who are Republicans and support Trump, who they've tried to bankrupt and destroy. These are extraordinarily bad people. It's just a matter of policy differences. The policy differences are stark. They're the differences between the policies that have made this country the greatest on earth, policies of democracy and republicanism, policies of rule of law, policies of capitalism, as opposed to the policies that they have learned for years and years, like Walz, of communism, which is what they're foisting on us, and in some cases have already succeeded. I was asking you before when I painted that picture of Walz, how unfair of it to me to conclude that unless he answers those questions for the purposes of the safety of our country, we should make the worst assumption that he is a communist spy. He's not bothering to answer why he went, how much was he paid, what gifts did he get, what kind of a program was it, where's the curriculum, let's see it, what did you teach them? How could you have taught them anything partial and neutral under the auspices of China? China doesn't allow you to do that. Well, were you an exception? Why do you think that socialism, which has led to the death of over 100 million people, can be equated with neighborliness? Doesn't that sound like communist propaganda that you were sent here to teach? Now, at a minimum, Dana Trump bash never even asked you that. She asked you silly questions about your cowardly running out of the military, but she didn't confront you after you said, people said nice things about you. She didn't confront you with all your National Guard's corpsmen saying you were a coward and you walked out and people died and you could have been helpful because you helped train them. I guess the most persuasive of which was the minister, your chaplain, who said, well, simple language, Walz was a coward. Are they all lying? You're just the one telling the truth. The guy who lied about his rank? The guy who lied about going into combat. You never even answered that with her. Dana Trump bash, gave you the answer. You had claimed that you carried a weapon into combat. You couldn't have, because you've never been in combat. This is shades of Biden, right? And or the guy who claimed to be in Vietnam up in what the hell he's doing in the Senate, Blumenthal, is beyond me. The guy lied about going to Vietnam, and he's in the Senate pontificating constantly. But in any event, it's hard to find things you haven't lied about, little things, big things. As far as I can tell, you were never a head coach either, coach. You were a defensive coordinator. Your high school activities included being a defensive coordinator. 1 year, I think you coached the girls' basketball team, and you were the head for 8 or 10 years of the gay association at the high school. Was it 10 years or was it 8 years?
Yeah, we'll have to double check on the timing of that.
So those were your contributions. Meanwhile, Harris, when she described you, said you were this great head coach who won the state championship. I don't see head coach. I see defensive coordinator. That's a tribute. But why can't we be truthful about it? And you exaggerated your rank. Now, I understand why you exaggerated your rank. Because you lost your rank because you left your military unit in the words of your fellow corpsmen, sniveling out. So you couldn't come back and sign. So therefore they demoted you. You were too embarrassed to come back and sign. And I wondered, Tim, apropos of the families talking here, the kids who got killed when you didn't go, did you pay respects to them in any way? I don't know. I'm just asking. We got one more. We've got the lady.
We've got a couple more. Let's hear from Jacqueline Schmitz, the mother. So we heard from the father. This is the mother of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. So this is Jacqueline Schmitz, the mother of Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz.
Your statement is nothing more than a political spin to help you look better in your presidential campaign against Donald Trump. You have never walked a single day in our shoes. Our kids were murdered because of your administration, and you are partly to blame for that as well. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time numerous times on numerous occasions to hear our stories, to speak our kids' names, and to help us get some accountability from your administration, because in over 3 years, we have gotten nothing but more and more lies. Just like your statement, more and more spun lies and cover-ups to make you and your administration look good. But there is one thing that you said in your statement that was true. No one should be running for president if they cannot honor military members, their families, as well as veterans. So I guess that means that you should step down, Kamala.
These people have the moral gravitas to say that, don't they? And you know, in addition to having caused a death, they've engaged in a Watergate-like cover-up, worse than Watergate. Watergate was about, what, politics, money, not about life and death. Same thing with Benghazi. Same group of 51 intelligence spies who lie. The reason that we need Trump, and the reason they are dedicated to Trump, is that he'll clean it out. You know, all of this about what a horrible person he is, and he's going to deprive us of democracy. They've already done it. What's Jocelyn Benson doing in Michigan, trying to keep Teddy on the ballot, and the other two, Stein and who's the other guy, and Cornel West on the ballot? What was she doing, taking Trump off the ballot illegally? She was interfering in the 2024 election, already cheating, and there are a whole bunch of them doing that. I mean, this party has so much to hide that they go to any extreme to stop Trump, which therefore makes you wonder also, I'm sorry, questions got to be asked about what happened. There isn't a single solid answer to any of it. I mean, it might very well be that it wasn't done on purpose, but you made it look that way. What did you looked at a script and said, we're going to make it look like we planned this? You don't cover the most prominent building. You go ahead with an event, and over an hour earlier, you're told there's a suspicious person. You never locate the suspicious person. Did you make an attempt to associate? Did you make an attempt? Or how many were there? Were there too many? Was there more than one? And exactly how did you divide up the resources between Trump and the first stepmother, who was a few miles away? And why would he have less resources 3 days after you got an announcement that Iran wants to kill him? And what was he doing with Secret Service agents that were 4'2" and didn't seem to be able to holster their guns? What'd you pick? The jerk squad? Questions, and here's the worst part. They're being answered by an organization that tried to destroy him 3 times. The FBI. Last election, they were hiding the hard drive. Last election, they were trying to frame him for Russian collusion. We're supposed to trust. I mean, do we really look stupid? We're supposed to trust the FBI to do a fair and honest investigation of an attempt to murder Donald Trump? And after all these, you don't know anything about this murderer. This is the only murderer who's 20 years old or whatever he is that's not online. This is it. One guy. But I mean, the Walz questions have to be answered. Why did he go to China? Who paid for it? What was the curriculum?
Yeah.
Dictated by China for sure. And then when you went back there 30 times, wasn't the curriculum dictated so these kids could be brainwashed? China's having them come there just to learn about the world? What do you think this is, Israel?
I wonder what those kids are now and what they're doing.
Maybe some of them are spies. Yeah. You know what? Another thing we got to check, Ted? You know how the Chinese put these, Red Chinese put these police stations around the country, like in New York?
Yeah.
Stupid Adams took forever to find out about it.
That's right.
He never even objected when they put it in Minneapolis, and knew about it. They say. Now we got to check that, because that would be another one he's got to answer. But nobody had the guts to ask him. This guy should have a 2-hour press conference just on China before we pass on him. Otherwise, who knows what we're putting in there? We never bothered to go back and find out exactly what Barry Obama was taught about communism. He wrote a book with a communist. He's trained by communists. We never really got to ask about that. It was, oh my goodness, that's racist. It's not racist to ask somebody what they learned about communism.
The media refuses to talk about it.
Yeah, and we've never gotten to find out anything about the 50 million or so that Biden has taken. We're even told there's no evidence that money went to him, when the hard drive has innumerable evidence that money went to him, including one even an idiot couldn't miss, in which Hunter says, I gave half of my income for 35 years to my father. That's pretty hard to miss. So we got the last one?
We got the last one. Sorry, bouncing a lot here. This is Gold Star family member Coral Doolittle, the mother of Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez.
My name is Coral Doolittle. I am Corporal Humberto Sanchez's mother. This is my statement of what happened on August 26, 2024. My son is not buried in Arlington, but I really feel like when President Trump went and paid tribute and paid his respect in Arlington for our kids, it was not just the ones buried in there. It was for all of our kids, and it was an invitation that the families actually extend to him, and it's not the first time that he actually meet with us and share time and with our families. After 3 years until now, Kamala Harris and President Biden didn't even say their 13 names. They called the withdrawal in Afghanistan a success, and for us it was just sadness and a disgrace. They are the responsible persons of murdering our kids, and until these days they did not give us a meeting. They did not accept to meet with us and give us an explanation of what happened. Being him the commander-in-chief, he definitely left our kids behind, and just to fill the agenda of his prior commitments. I invite Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to accept the meeting with us and meet with us and explain us what was the whole deal behind the withdrawal in Afghanistan. I think that as a parents, we deserve a explanation, and we deserve the truth of what happened with our kids that day.
Thank you very much, each and every one of you. We're going to put together one tape with all of them so you can have it, and we'll put it up next couple of days. Okay, Ted? Because during the course of the campaign, maybe you want to play them for anyone inclined to vote for these animals. I mean, what they did to these families doesn't even entitle them to being treated with respect, much less being elected to high public. They're just going to do it to other people. Imagine how many people in Ukraine could speak up about how Biden got their families killed. Now he won't let them win or lose. So you can divide up money. You know, Ukraine's gotten 200 billion and Israel's gotten 14. Well, we're going to be back with you tomorrow as we come closer and closer to deciding what kind of country we're going to have. We're going to have one in the tradition of our forefathers, the ones that we love and care about, the statues we don't tear down, with the flag in back of me that we don't burn? Or are we going to have people who serve the interests of those who do that? You know, they're voting for them, right? Harris's niece is pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas. You know, Walz is wacky gaga over China and refused to answer any questions over it. Harris was defund the police, don't protect cops. I mean, what are you doing to us? This should be rejected so firmly that these ideas are sent back to where they belong, the dustbin of history. They've killed too many people. This comes about because our educational systems were destroyed and people can't critically analyze. And frankly, one of the contributors to that is the idiot running for vice president on the Democratic ticket, Tampon Tim. Shall we finish with his disdain for the hostages that was when the hostage was killed? We wouldn't answer any question. Do you have that, or we'll play that tomorrow?
Yeah, let's see if we can play
Well,
it.
if it takes too long, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
We'll play that tomorrow.
I gotta find it. We had it yet Friday.
There's so much to play on Tampon Tim. The only thing that Tampon Tim tells you is what terrible, terrible, terrible judgment she has. You know what a big liar she is. And you know what a big lefty she is. Now you know she has terrible judgment. There's Tampon Tim. And that's his brother who tells you, please don't elect my brother because he'll hurt the United States of America. Well,
We're gonna play that video that you wanted here.
you want to play his brother?
This is the video of Tim turning his back on the hostages.
Oh, okay. Well,
You asked for it.
For those not
What?
from Minnesota,
No,
just to
the
be
clip is
clear,
on.
there's a lot of great state fairs in the country. This is the best one. And I say that having tried pork chops in Iowa and been at other ones, but great state fair, great tradition with Princess Kay of the Milky Way. Agriculture is still king in Minnesota. You see that many of these folks are going to participate in agribusiness over their lifetimes that we need here in Minnesota. So great state fair. Glad to have you all out here enjoying every bit of it, and started the day with pork chop and vanilla shake. So it's great. So thanks, everybody. The question was, how much has changed from the last state fair? I don't get 12 days, which I normally get. A little bit more of a disruption, and I'm more concerned, obviously, disruption to the other folks. But it's exciting. I think people are seeing that we're getting to talk about Minnesota across the country, talk about the economy here, talk about things like the state fair, talk about agriculture. That's been really exciting.
How are you balancing managing the state of Minnesota and running for president?
Yeah, I got a good team on the being able to manage my schedule. We appointed 3 great judges last week in Ramsey County, as you saw. Every night we go through all of the decision memos and meeting with the commissioners. I stay updated throughout the day, and I'm in and out. Most of my time is day out and then back in.
Governor, how are you feeling?
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
ever and ever and ever on the most ridiculous things you can imagine, kind of like Feliz Navidad, his friend over there. I mean, and meanwhile, he gets asked a serious question and he walks away, just like he walked away from the city of Minneapolis while he watched it burn. And his wife enjoyed the smoke. Almost impossible, in my thinking, years ago, that there'd be people like this in America, much less running for office. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be focused on this until we get to saving our country, which is coming up. We've been waiting a long time to do that. So God bless the people of Israel. God bless the people of the United States. And God bless America. Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.
No, I was suggesting the food so you can put it on a plate.
I'm gonna go put it on a plate, and I'm gonna bring it over here like a waiter.
You don't have to wash it.
All right.
No, don't have to do that. Find the tape and everything. Hold on. What is that?
Right.
Then I can slip down. How about that? I actually do it down. Which one do you like? Yeah, I just don't mind. You're eating it. What do we have? No. Yeah, you like? No. Yeah, I'm all together. No. You don't want that? No, I think yes, we get it. You don't want to get it. I didn't get it. Or, yeah, I didn't get it. Give him the leftover pizza. Warm it up.
All right.
Then I guess you don't want this? No. Yeah. Rob, you want to leave if you want?
All right, I'll put them on the table for now.
Could be a bit tonight. We'll hit this in a second. Get on the pizza. Run off the pizza.
Yeah.
bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreement.